Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and it's always a delight to have Nisha Jackson in the house. She heads up Ventana Wellness, and we're here to look into your face. We're going to look into your face, and we're going to say, ooh, you need some more vitamin C.
Oh, that's really good. That's one of my points.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's very good.
I want you to look at my face and tell me what I need. I've been saying all morning you're going to say sleep.
You do need sleep.
Yeah, I do. I'm sleep deprived.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after this move.
Mm-hmm.
So, quite revealing the face?
Well, you know, I think sometimes people often know that there's something not quite right when they look in the mirror at their face or their hair or their eyebrows or their neck. So I thought it would be kind of fun to do a show to start at the top of the head and kind of move down to the neck area. We're just going to stop at the neck. And maybe I can talk about what are some of the things that you can look at in the mirror and say, okay, that might be a deficiency.
All right.
So I think we should start at the top of the head, right?
Well, I'm missing some things up there.
Yeah, we're not going to address your head hair there. But a lot of women and men want to know why they start losing hair on the crown of their head.
That's because you're intelligent. Your brain's still growing right through the top, right?
That's right. Yeah, right. So when you're losing the hair on the top of your head and the crown of your head, often it's because your thyroid is deficient. And it could be that just one of the thyroid levels is low, because thyroid, what it does is it provides the fullness to your hair, and it also increases the thickness of the shaft of the hair. So even with very thinning hair or hair that breaks off easily, it could be that the thyroid is a little bit low. So there's other things too. If you don't have enough protein in your diet, so we see this often with vegetarians or vegans that aren't being responsible enough to get enough good proteins in their diet, even vegetarian proteins. But unfortunately, animal proteins are the proteins that help the keratin or the thickness and the luster of the hair the most. So we see some balding going on even with lack of protein in the diet. The other thing that can affect the hair on the head in relationship to the diet is not enough minerals in the diet. Oh. So sometimes adding minerals to the diet or digestive enzymes that help the breakdown of protein and the absorption of minerals and protein in the gut can be helpful. The other thing I want to bring up as far as the hair goes, because people, especially women, are really interested in the hair. I mean, it's scary when you're losing your hair. It's just flat out scary.
Well, you kind of expect it on a man, but not on a woman.
Yeah, well, even men don't like losing their hair, so they want to know what they can do, right?
I'm growing it in places I don't need it.
Okay, so one more thing. We're not going to go there. One more thing about the diet is that people that are using antacids, people that are using medications or supplements to try to reduce the acid in the stomach, actually may be reducing it too much. Or people who are on the, you know, you've probably heard of the popular alkaline versus acid diet. And so people are trying to go more alkaline because that's probably better for you. But it's not good to go all alkaline, because if you don't have enough acid in your stomach, you actually can't break down the minerals and the protein and then absorb them in the gut. And that's what you need for good hair. Wow. And you need it for other things too.
So give me some minerals.
So you can use an essential mineral, like just a multi-mineral supplement. The other thing that you can do that would help from an acid standpoint is start using digestive enzymes, because the digestive enzymes will work to break down the protein, and so that you can absorb the protein, but also the minerals that you're taking in your food. So if you're eating a good, colorful diet, you want to be able to, you know, with more of the good vitamins and minerals in your diet, you want to be able to absorb them and not have them go to waste. So digestive enzymes can help.
You women and some men
yes.
use a lot of color in your hair, and you blow dry your hair a lot. Is that damaging?
Yes, of course. There's many other things that can damage the hair, but I'm specifically talking about loss of hair, you know, where the hair is falling out. And specifically
thinning,
in thinning, the crown of the head is really a telltale sign that maybe the thyroid or other hormones can be off. So we see hair loss or hair thinning with testosterone deficiency in men and testosterone deficiency in women, because testosterone for men and women provides the elasticity to the hair and the luster. So you know how younger people have really shiny, pretty hair, and as you get older, it's kind of dull and it's lost its luster? That's typically a loss of testosterone, but also estrogen can do that for women.
Okay, so get your thyroid tested.
Thyroid tested.
Check out your minerals.
Yes. Your hormones, minerals, protein. And then the thyroid is also very important for the hair.
All right. So what's the next layer down?
So the next layer down, we get to the eyes. Yeah. And now this problem often is typically it's corrected with surgery. But when your eyelids are drooping over your eyes, that, you see that often with people and they have to have it surgically corrected. But many times it's a deficiency in human growth hormone. Human growth hormone is a hormone that actually declines with age, but there's ways us adults can actually increase our human growth hormone level. One of those ways is to do exercise so that it is not just the same 30 minutes of exercise every single day where you're just walking outside, chatting with your friend, but maybe exercise where you're getting bursts of increasing your heart rate. So it's called interval training. And we've talked about that before, but every couple of minutes you'll go for 30 seconds to maybe 60 seconds to 2 minutes of going as fast as you can. That actually has been shown in multiple studies to raise human growth hormone. So what that does is it slows down the aging process. It helps us look better, feel better, reduce illness as we age.
All I need is 60-second spurts.
And those eyelids won't droop so much. So human growth hormone can be increased with exercise. It can be increased with having more joy and happiness in your life and not being so stressed and focusing on negative emotions. Having good sex is another way to raise human growth hormone. I had to add that in because that's really important.
Okay.
And then also getting enough protein in your diet and reducing the excessive sugars, because a diet that's filled with inflammatory foods, that would be foods that your body doesn't really know what to do with them. So it would be excessive flour and sugar products, white products that are man-made. Those foods cause inflammation, which lowers human growth hormone levels. So even if you don't have droopy eyelids, which could be caused from a human growth hormone deficiency.
How am I doing in there?
Yeah, no, you're looking good. Have you had surgery?
No.
Oh, that was a personal question.
Oh, thank you. I don't think sometimes I need it.
So no, I don't think you have a human growth hormone
deficiency.
People
that have that done, is it dangerous?
It's not dangerous, and it's actually a pretty common procedure. In fact, sometimes it's necessary to be done because it actually affects your vision.
Right.
And the heaviness of your eyelids becomes too much that you need to have it done. So it could be important to have done. Dark circles under your eyes. Now, I think today you might have a little bit more darkness under your eyes than you normally do.
I think it's the light. I need to get over here.
I think it's the hours you're putting in.
Yeah.
So, darkness under your eyes, two big things, the circles under your eyes. The first one is low iron levels. So, not having enough iron in your diet, which is typical for Americans today.
I'm writing that down. Iron, low iron.
Because iron is really important for energy, brain function. It helps you not be dizzy when you stand up quickly from a sitting position. You know, sometimes you get that kind of that dizziness when you stand up quickly. It also helps with your oxygen consumption. So when you're exercising, you're able to kind of keep your breath better and be able to exercise without losing your breath so much. So it increases the oxygen to all of the tissues. But when iron is low, the problem is that we bruise easily and we get dark circles under our eyes. The other thing that dark circles can be a cause of is
here it comes.
which is
don't tell me it's not a lack of sex or something like that.
Which is relevant to you is low cortisol.
Oh.
So that's the stress hormone, right? So when we're really pushing ourselves and we're kind of maxed out and our poor little stress glands, the adrenal glands, get overworked and overburdened, all of a sudden the adrenal glands start producing less cortisol than what we need to be able to get through our day. And one of the ways we can see that is dark circles under the eyes. It actually reduces the capillary fragility underneath the eyes so that the little blood vessels will break easier.
Wow.
So one of the things you can actually do about that is applying vitamin E oil to the area can be pretty helpful. Any antioxidant applied to the area will actually improve the capillary refill, and also vitamin K. So, but monitoring your stress and making sure your iron.
What's the source of iron? Supplements?
So hemi-iron is really the best iron, and that comes from red meat. So that is the most absorbable iron there is. So making sure that you have red meat in your diet once or twice a week is very important. If you are a vegetarian and you're not eating red meat, then you need to get it from other sources. Spinach, green leafy vegetables can be a way of getting iron levels up. Or taking an iron supplement if your blood level comes back low. Then there's one other little caveat when it comes to iron, which I think people need to know. And it always comes back to sugar, right? Doesn't everything tie back to sugar?
Sugar and water or something. What's the other one? Sugar, water, fat.
So when you have too much sugar in your diet or foods that turn into sugar quickly, it interferes with your body's ability to absorb iron in the gut. So that's why we're seeing a lot of people with low iron, because they're eating too much sugar or starchy foods and then they can't absorb it in their gut. And then they're tired and they're getting headaches and they're not feeling well and they can't exercise without being too winded. So it is important to make sure that your diet is clean and that you are tested for low iron if you have some of those symptoms.
Right.
Dark circles.
Let me take a quick break. We're talking to Nisha Jackson from Ventana Wellness, ventanawellness.com, if you want to check out the website and the resources there. She's reading our faces and telling us we need iron, we need vitamin K, we need more protein. And where are you going next?
I'm going to go with the eyelashes.
Eyelashes?
Yes.
All right. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Okay, we're back with Nisha Jackson, and she heads up Ventana Wellness. And Ventana Wellness is a clinic here in Medford, and boy, they got all kinds of services there. And you may want to check it out by going to ventanawellness.com. That's the website. And check out all of the resources they have available for you there, and great doctors and physicians and specialists there. And of course, you know, Dr. Joel Klein comes in. He's one of your top dogs over there.
Yes.
He's great. And
Nisha
started. How long have you been doing that? How long you've had the clinic? You started this when?
Almost 20 years ago. Yeah.
20 years?
Yeah, I know.
I know. I remember when you were just a little nurse coming on the air.
Do you remember when I used to do this show every single day of the week, Monday through Friday?
Yeah.
I know. It's been years.
Yeah, that's, boy, you've been busy. Well, today, Nisha is helping us take a look in the mirror and see what's going on in our face, which could be pretty revealing of what's going on in your body. Or the lack of. And so we dealt with hair, and we're dealing with eyes and the darkness under the eyes. Now, what about the eyelids?
Yes,
or the eyelashes?
Eyelashes. Two things, eyelashes and eyebrows. So I'll start with the eyebrows because they're a little bit higher than the eyelashes. The eyebrows, if they're thinning on the ends or you're losing the ends of your eyebrows, so just the outer 1/3 end of your eyebrows, it almost always is a thyroid deficiency unless you're pulling your eyelashes out, your eyebrows out. So thyroid deficiency is definitely related to the loss of the eyebrows at the end. Eyelashes, if you're losing your eyelashes, many times it's because you're having allergies. So the allergies need to be tended to, or a loss of essential fatty acids in your diet. So you're not getting enough of the good oils in your diet. So eating more nuts and seeds, avocado oil, avocados, olive oil, taking fish oil capsules, krill oil, any of those supplements would be fine. But that really helps the growth of the eyelashes, which I know women are men not so much, but women are very interested in their eyelashes.
Well, you got those little pencils that make them grow.
Yeah, well, the eyebrows we do, but not the eyelashes. We don't have anything really, that unless you put fake eyelashes on. Yeah. So it's really important to get essential fatty acids, and then also, again, tying it back to the hormones, loss of hormones reduces the eyelashes with age. I mean, we know that, right? These young girls with these beautiful eyelashes, and then as you get older, they start losing the eyelashes. So testosterone and estrogen, again, are related to the loss of the eyelashes.
What do you think of the eyelash and hair testing? Somebody said you can look at those and see a lot about the person.
The hair testing can be pretty revealing depending on which lab you use for vitamin and mineral testing, and also for toxic levels like heavy metal testing to see if you've been overexposed to copper or some other type of metal.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, allergies is something I also want to talk about. Is, you know, we see people with their eyes watering all of the time,
Right.
and if you're overstressed and your cortisol goes down,
Yeah.
your allergies will go up. So one of the things that I think we don't pay attention to enough in medicine is really dealing with people's stress when they have chronic allergies. So sneezing and coughing and watery eyes, really getting to the bottom of the stress. And a lot of people say, well, I don't feel stressed, but they just came out of 2 years of stress and now they're paying the price for it. Or it could be that their body, that's how their body is responding to the stress, but they don't really mentally feel stressed. So, but addressing the adrenals and powering up the adrenals can actually lower the allergies, which then stops the watering of the eyes and the excessive sneezing. The other thing is that if you have, if you're plagued with an itchy nose, so we're moving down to the nose, if you're plagued with an itchy nose and you always rub your nose up, or you scratch your nose up, you itch it, you will develop a horizontal crease on your nose. So whenever I see somebody with a horizontal crease on their nose, I often think, oh, they must be doing this on their nose, and so I'll address the itchy nose, which can be a vitamin B deficiency. Don't you love this show? Vitamin B
will take the wrinkle out of your nose.
No, it won't take the wrinkle out of your, it'll stop the itchy nose so that you don't push up on your nose, causing the horizontal crease. Well, that typically is the allergies. So we look at, you know, what are they deficient in, you know, vitamins, minerals, you know, what are they allergic to? So doing food allergy testing can be really helpful, and then addressing the stress. Those are the three things I like to look at when somebody is plagued with allergies.
Okay, so all right, so itchy nose, vitamin B.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so darkening, I'm going to move down into the chin area. Darkening circles on the face, or you might have seen this on some younger women, and this can happen to men too, but mostly women, is the darkening kind of little patches of brown skin. It's almost like a hyperpigmentation. It is a hyperpigmentation of the skin. It happens a lot during pregnancy. It happens sometimes before the period. Sometimes it happens as women are transitioning into menopause, but it's definitely a hormone imbalance. So what happens is that when estrogen starts dominating the other hormones, the problem is that estrogen stimulates the melanin in the skin to kind of go crazy, and so you develop a lot of dark patches on your skin. But they're flat, they're not raised, they're just a kind of a dark, like a big freckle. So getting your hormones in balance can help that. The other thing that can help is adding antioxidants to your skin, so applying vitamin A. You can use this over the counter, or it can be a prescription vitamin A cream. To any brown spots can actually reduce the hyperpigmentation. So if you don't like some of those brown spots on your arms or your face, you can start using vitamin A. The prescription vitamin A is much more potent, and it causes irritation of the skin if you use it every night. So I recommend patients use it either an over-the-counter vitamin A or a prescription vitamin A, that they use it about every other night or every third night, because then your skin doesn't get so irritated. It really does work. There's probably been 700 studies that have been done on the effectiveness of vitamin A for dark circles, the brown circles, the spots, and it's very effective. So that can be something that people can do in addition to correcting the hormone imbalance. Now, I also want to say that men can have too much estrogen. Which is
really?
Which is a real problem, because it's not super attractive for men to have too much estrogen. So they get more emotional, they have a tendency to grow breasts, they have a tendency to get too much fat developing around the middle part of their body, they have issues with anger, because men shouldn't have too much estrogen. They need some because it's good for their heart, but they don't need too much. So men can develop dark circles or the hyperpigmentation just from having too much estrogen.
Okay. Have your E's checked, guys.
I'm sure you needed to know that, right?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so moving down, we talked about the brown spots and the liver spots, the wrinkles vertical to your lip. Oh, I just hate those. I even have them too. I have some wrinkles right here, little vertical wrinkles right here. Anyway, those are definitely caused from lack of estrogen and testosterone for men and women, but particularly women because estrogen is the dominant hormone for women. So as estrogen declines, they get more wrinkles. The other thing is excessive sun exposure, which damages the cellular level, not adding enough antioxidants into your diet. Oh, I should talk about that real quick. Antioxidants in your diet. Some people think that adding a lot of vegetables and fruits to your diet is really important, but you can only push so much to your face, to your skin, right? So adding some topical creams actually helps that, the antioxidants creams, because you can't get so much in your diet that would affect the skin.
All right. So if you got those little vertical lines around your lips.
Antioxidant creams, essential fatty acids, and making sure that your diet is really clean. Lots of fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables.
All right, bring this in for a landing. We got a minute.
Okay, so we haven't talked about facial hair. We're going to have to come back and talk about facial hair.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
we just need to do that.
Too much testosterone in women and too much insulin can cause problems with facial hair. So look in the mirror, look at yourself, try to identify maybe what's going on, look at your diet, making sure that you're adding good protection to your skin, that nice barrier of sunscreen, maybe putting a little vitamin A on those dark spots, and you'll be there. Make sure your hormones are checked too.
Hormone
That's the landing.
Well, there you go. And you can do all of this at Ventana Wellness, and you can go to ventanawellness.com and check out all the resources there, or give them a call and talk to Nisha. She'll be back. We'll talk about these other things like facial hair and too much estrogen for guys and too much testosterone for gals. Way too much information here. But anyway, that's why we're here for you. All right, we'll see you. We'll be right back here on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Welcome back. Well, we had a chance earlier to talk to Dinesh D'Souza, and of course, you know, he's been in the news a lot as it responds to his new movie called America and the book called America. And it, in some ways, been very controversial. For a while, it was on the shelf at Costco, and then they removed it, and then they put it back. And, well, he's just been interviewed all over the place because he pretty much tells it like it is. So join me now as we talk to Dinesh about his book and his movie, America. Well, what an honor for us today to have a man that you're hearing a lot about all over the world, all over the news, and his movie is rocking the house. And we're delighted to have back with us today Dinesh D'Souza, and he is the producer of a film that is really, really doing quite a job out there called America. Imagine the world without her. Dinesh, great to see you, my friend. How are you handling all this?
Well, I think it's a very good thing. I mean, it seems at times that it's crazy and there's a lot of controversy swirling around the film, but it's why I made the film. In fact, the controversy about the film is also in the film. One of the things I do in the movie is I bring a lot of the leading critics of America, people who feel that America is the evil empire, or America's been an evil force in the world, and I let them rave and rant in the film. So in some sense, the surrounding debate is something that I anticipated, I expected it, I welcome it. It's kind of funny for me. I'm an immigrant defending America against Americans who are native born, who are railing and ranting about their own country.
Yeah, I mean, you just said it right there in the whole sentence. That's beautifully said. By the way, you're recommending this film for the whole family, right?
Absolutely. It's a film, it's PG-13 because we've got some scenes from the Revolutionary War and the Civil War, but it's nothing that you can't bring your 10-year-old to. They'll love it, and they'll find it very eye-opening. It'll help to inoculate them against some of the things that they're going to hear in school and in college. So it's a movie very much for the whole family.
Did it impact you when you were making it? Did it come out a little bit different than when you anticipated?
Well, the film is just very different. For most of my career, I've been an author, writing books. And so making films is new for me. I made 2016, the film about Obama that came out a couple of years ago. I'm very proud of this film. It's at a completely different level than 2016. It It's a movie that has been rated by an independent group called CinemaScore with an A+ rating, which means that audiences love it. People are often on their feet with tears, applauding at the end. So it's thrilling for me as an immigrant to give people that kind of an intellectual, but also an emotional experience.
Well, you know, to get a few of the controversial things out of the way, first of all, I see where Costco put it back. and thanks to your supporters and those who wanted to see the film, but they just had to acquiesce and put it back on the shelf. So that says a lot, doesn't it?
It says a lot. It also says a lot, by the way, about the power of the ordinary individual. I mean, this was patriotic Americans who went to Costco, went to their website, walked into the stores, and basically said, listen, if you don't want to stock a book, if you're going to pull this immigrant's book defending America on the weekend of the 4th of July, well, sorry, we don't really want to shop in Costco. And so if you went on the Costco website, you saw hundreds of pictures of people complaining, cutting up their cards, walking into Sam's Club. So Costco was like, whoa. And I met with the CEO last week, and he could not have been more obliging, more repentant. He's ordered a whole bunch of new copies of my book, which, by the way, same title as the film, America, Imagine a World Without Her. And the book is now selling really well in Costco.
You know what's so interesting about this? I don't think anybody expected Costco to go political.
I don't think that, you know, this is a mystery to me why this even happened. They keep saying it was a business decision, but, you know, they pulled the film just the day before it was opening. They pulled the book the day before the film with the same title and the same cover was opening in 1,100 theaters nationwide. My book was also outselling Hillary Clinton's book, which is sitting in a big mountain at Costco, you know, unsold. So I don't get the business logic of that. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I can't think of any reason other than ideology for them to have done this in the first place. Although I do think it was a business decision to put the book back.
A real quick business decision. It's kind of like Coke going back to classic, you know?
Exactly. Consumer demand. You know, it's funny. I was talking to the CEO, Craig Jelinek, last week, and he said, Dinesh, he goes, I've spent the last week personally answering thousands of letters and emails and protests from my own members. And that just told me that, wow, we're living in a new world of social media. You know, 10 years ago, if you were upset by this, what could you do? You'd have no recourse. Maybe write a letter to the editor of your local newspaper. But in today's world of social media, you can make, the individual has a lot of power.
All right, I want to come back to that. But first of all, let's get into the movie a little bit. Why did you do this? What are you trying to convey? What's your message here?
What's been going on is for 30 years, there has been something that I call the shaming of America. And that is that the progressive left has concocted a story about America. It's not a true story. It's a manufactured story, but it's conveyed to young people in schools and colleges. I encountered it a couple of decades ago, but that same narrative has now spilled out into the media, into Hollywood, into the elementary and secondary schools, National Public Radio. Even some of the mainline churches are perpetrating this narrative. It's sort of America, the inexcusable. Now, having lived in a different culture, I can tell you the reason people are breaking down doors to come to America is that they know that this narrative is false. They know that America represents something good in the world. And in fact, it's hard for me to imagine the world without America. So I made this movie to counter that left-wing narrative, to give people ammunition for the love that they naturally feel for their own country. So if you watch this movie or read my book, you'll have a handbook of ideas and arguments and even emotions that you can use to fire back against the malevolent critics of America.
You know, social media, some of the talk shows, talk radio, and certainly Fox and other networks have been spending a lot of time now going back into America's founding. Isn't it interesting that ever since the shooting down of this Malaysia airline over the Ukraine, they've been airing little speeches from Ronald Reagan. I mean, we're trying to bring something back to America. Are you sensing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people are intuitively aware that there are sort of two ideas of America that are jostling for dominance. One is, I would call it the spirit of 1776, and Ronald Reagan embodied that spirit. It's a can-do spirit. It's the idea that America is a force for good in the world. It's the idea that we should use our power carefully, but nevertheless, the world needs it. I mean, the reason the commercial traffic of the world today can move across the world's oceans is because of the U.S. Navy. Remove the U.S. Navy, and there'd be massive massive piracy on the high seas, Russia and China jostling for control. So people forget the role that America plays in the world. Now, there's a rival ideology that's anti-American. It looks at America as the bad guy. It's trying to shrink America's influence and power. And the remarkable thing is that this anti-Americanism is not coming from Venezuela or Iran or Russia. It's coming from inside America. And so people in America are now aware of this, and they're saying, hey, let's go back to the attic. Let's find the blueprints that built this building, that made America what it is, so we can understand better what's happening to us and to some degree what our president is trying to do to us.
Now, there's a big clash coming, and we're starting to see it, and you're calling it the spirit of 1776. Do you think that spirit has the capability of putting America back on its original track?
Absolutely. I think that that spirit beats in the heart of every American. This is a society built by immigrants with immigrant virtues. Immigrants are restless people. They're frugal, self-disciplined, deferred gratification. They rely on family, community, and faith. And what's happened is that now we have this new narrative, which kind of got going in the 1960s. Look, I can understand people are for or against the Vietnam War, but what the left did that is so corrupt is it took the Vietnam War and the anti-Americanism that came out of that war, it went back through American history and rewrote the whole story, going back to Christopher Columbus. So it was sort of one bad thing after another until the 60s came along to save us all. So this is their rigged narrative, and this is the lie about America that needs to be questioned, it needs to be skeptically examined, and it needs to be overturned.
All right, so the left, for the most part, seem to have advanced to the point where they're in control, and it's not working. So there is a pushback. I don't know where this is going to go, but it seems we got a president that's in complete chaos. We've never seen the presidency AOL like this before.
Well, it's a big difference. Jimmy Carter was sort of AOL, but that's because Jimmy Carter was a nincompoop. I mean, he was a bungler. Obama's not a bungler. Obama has an ideology that wants to shrink America. Now, that's not because he's a pawn of some, he's not a traitor. It's not because he hates America. He just has an ideology that sees us as the bad guy. I mean, imagine if you and I lived in Nazi Germany and we saw the impact that Nazi Germany was having in making the world worse and also harming Germans. We'd say, look, let's try to shrink Germany. Let's try to bring the regime down. Let's try to curtail and control this country's power because its power is being used for bad and not for good. So with Obama, he looks at America. The reason he does the apology tour, the reason you never get the sense that he's proud and happy to be an American, even though his life is made possible in America. If he lived somewhere else, he was born in Kenya, he'd probably be living in the hut right next to his brother George in the Huruma slum of Nairobi.
Yes. So why is it people like yourself, an immigrant coming in here, I mean, your upbringing was very poor, and you come into America and you see the advantages that America affords you to make it, and you've done it. And why is it the people within are putting it down?
Not because they're putting it down, because they have a plan. And here's their plan. They don't like the fact that this is an entrepreneurial society where people who generate new things, like Steve Jobs makes an iPhone. Now look at a guy like Obama. Could he make an iPhone? No. He can't even put up a website. So he doesn't have the entrepreneurial skills to succeed in an entrepreneurial society. But Obama has other skills. He's a political demagogue. He knows how to mobilize envy. He's a resentment organizer. He knows how to activate the mob. What he wants to do is transfer power in society away from entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs and toward sort of resentful politicians and community organizers like himself. So he's using the big shame narrative to put Americans up against the wall so he can justify the government coming and taking their money and their stuff.
Now, you discovered a lot of this when you did the film 2016, Obama's America. I mean, you actually went back to his roots and you figured out just who this person really is.
Yeah, I was able to go to Indonesia and Hawaii and Kenya and sort of enter Obama's world and to some degree Obama's psyche. What I found remarkable when I was down there at the Obama family homestead, talking to his grandmother, meeting his family, interviewing his brother George, is I'd ask those guys, I'd say, hey, who's been down here to interview you? CNN, Time Magazine, CBS News? They're like, no one's been down here. You're the first guy to come down here, Dinesh. So I realized, wow, I'm not an investigative journalist, but here I am. I'm sort of following the biggest story in the country, if not in the world, and the media isn't really doing its job.
All right, I got to take a break. Before I do, quickly, is he a citizen?
Obama's a citizen. He was born in Hawaii. I think the irony with Obama is I'm a third world guy who loves America. Obama's an American-born guy who's embraced a third world ideology.
All right, very interesting. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dinesh D'Souza.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Hi, we're back today, and our special guest is Dinesh D'Souza, and of course he's authored quite a few books, but right now we're talking about his film that's in theaters across America. There's a picture of the book on the screen for those of you watching on theDove TV. Let me encourage you, first of all, go to Costco, get this book, and thank him for putting it back on the shelf, and then see the movie. It's a movie that's been produced for all members of the family. And it's it's about America in a way that perhaps you haven't looked at it before. And I just want to commend you again, Dinesh. Again, thank you for your time, and thank you for sticking your neck out and doing this. I know that you're getting banged around pretty much, but you look okay.
I'm still in one piece, despite the banging. Look, the left is upset about the film because it's taking on their storyline. They've worked really hard for 3 decades to manufacture this sort of elaborate story of American shame. They've been using, the line I use in the film and the book is that the shaming of America is necessary for the shakedown of America. But what we do in the film is we go beyond the leftist argument. We look at the sort of 2 big pillars that built America. And by the way, those pillars are entrepreneurship on the one hand and Christianity on the other. The spirit of entrepreneurship, which creates wealth. But Christianity also creates the character and the community and the sense of family and the basic decency of the ordinary American, which is really a wonder to behold. Most places in the world, people get really cynical. But here in America, there's a kind of a goodness and aspiration to get it right. The left shamelessly exploits that. But on the balance, it's a very good thing that Americans have.
All right, so do you think the faith community is waking up to the fact that, hey, wait a minute, we have allowed ourselves to get pushed into a corner. Can we gracefully push back?
This is the problem, is I think that many Christians believe that this is a political argument. We can somehow stay away from politics. This doesn't really involve us. And what they don't realize is that what the left has done is taken the church and implicated the church in all the crimes of America. That the missionaries worked hand in hand with the conquistadors to steal the country from the Indians. That churches in the South apologized for slavery. That the churches were part of the American alliance to promote American exceptionalism and defeat Mexico and take half of Mexico. That even today, the churches are part of holding up the American structure and making America a force for evil in the world. So Christianity is under attack, whether we know it or not. The only question is, are we going to let them overrun it? Or are we going to step back and say, well, wait a minute, this is actually false. Far from supporting the conquistadors, the missionaries were the people who are fighting for the rights of Native Americans. They're the ones who went and complained to the Spanish crown. There was a huge debate on the question of whether American Indians had souls. The Spanish government decided that they did, and it was unjust to enslave them. This history has been carefully erased by the left from our textbooks to make the church and Christianity look bad. We're telling the other side of the story. So if you read my book, watch the film, you'll find yourself becoming kind of a dangerous American. Why? Because you now have the ammunition to fire back.
Well, we're seeing it. Hobby Lobby. It's a win. Can we sustain it?
Yes, we can, because the whole narrative relies on lies to hold it up. The moment people see the other side of the story, they go, wait a minute, hold on a second. I didn't know that the Native American tribes that had the land had themselves taken that land by force from other people. I didn't know that there were more than 10,000 black slaves in the South that were owned by other blacks, owned by 3,500 free black slave owners in the South. Why haven't I been told this? I'm not saying it changes everything, but it certainly changes something. Somehow the left has concealed this from us. It has sold a bill of goods to people, especially to young people. So once you have the corrective narrative out there, it's very eye-opening and it's very liberating.
Okay, let's fast forward into what's happening now. That we have a president that seems to be AWOL, but more importantly, he seems to be violating the Constitution, abuse of powers. However, and we're spending most of our time in defense mode. We can't seem to stop it. We can't find the avenue to get in front of this thing and slow it down.
That's because far from being really AWOL, what Obama is, he's actively involved in doing the things that he's doing. He's actively involved in undermining our immigration laws. He's actively involved in shrinking American power in the Middle East. He's actively involved in slashing our nuclear arsenal. Look, who can do it if not him? He's the commander-in-chief. He doesn't control the nuclear arsenals of Iran or China, but he sure has power over our nuclear arsenal. So it's not that Obama's gone to sleep or just playing golf. When he isn't playing golf, I'd rather he play golf more, because when he's actively involved in doing what he's doing in the Oval Office, he's doing more harm than good.
Is it really just him, or is he hooked up with a team of people doing this?
Yeah, it's not just him. And in some ways, this is the widening of the scope. In 2016, I focused just on Obama because I felt there was an untold story there. But in the new movie, I make this point. I say, look, no man can unmake or remake America by himself. He needs a vast movement, not just in politics, but in the culture. And then I use this line. I say, Obama did not create this movement. It created him. So we have to be aware of this vast progressive movement that is at work, not only in government, but also in media and education and so on, because ultimately it's a much wider battlefield than just the battlefield of politics.
What do you think about this immigration mess?
It's a horrible mess, and I think that the problem is not immigration versus non-immigration. Look, I'm an immigrant. I favor America having a generous immigration policy, but we want immigrants here who reflect the spirit of 1776, who want to pull the bandwagon and not get in the bandwagon. The problem with Obama isn't that he wants immigrants. He wants immigrants to come here, jump into the bandwagon, collect welfare benefits, and get free education and free medical care, while the rest of America pulls the bandwagon. That's something that no Americans support, including Democrats. And so Obama has to do it surreptitiously. Oops, they're here at the border. Gee, I had nothing to do with it. Oh, really? Well, what else has changed? Are there revolutions in Central America that are sending hundreds of thousands of people here? No. What's changed is not over there. What's changed is right over here. It's our policies that have changed, that have signaled to these people in Central America and Mexico, hey, come on over, because we're not going to do very much to stop you.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Now you got Rick Perry going to do something we haven't seen before. We could be seeing a conflict between a state and the federal government and how the border is going to be controlled.
I mean, think about that. States are trying to police the border because the federal government won't do it, and the federal government is trying to combat the states and prevent them from policing the border. So, you know, this situation is kind of out of control here. You'd never see this kind of lawlessness being promoted by the commander-in-chief himself and by his army of minions. I mean, Obama's the Pied Piper, so he's got the leftists following him mindlessly because he's their leader. But at some point, they have to realize that he's leading them off a cliff. And I saw an article in the Wall Street Journal a couple of days ago. Even Hillary is beginning to go, whoa, maybe I want to start pulling away from this guy because he's such a disaster.
All right, so we got the Israel crisis going on, and we don't seem to have a foreign policy right now under this administration. This is a big question, and if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. But as a result of doing 2016 and where you are today with America and Imagine the World Without Her, do you think he, in his heart of hearts, he's a Muslim that practices the Islamic faith versus Christianity?
No, I don't think so. I think that Obama is non-religious. I think he doesn't have a religious bone in his body. The same was true of his dad, who was born a Muslim but became a rabid atheist. So the problem is that if you see America as the bad guy, you're going to see Muslims fighting against us in Afghanistan and Iraq as freedom fighters. So it's not that Obama is a secret Muslim. I mean, do you actually believe the guy prays 5 times a day? I find that hard to believe. No. He probably would be a better guy if he was a Muslim. I think that he's someone who detests religion. He sees Christianity as complicit with the American story of conquest. So as a result, if he embraces Christianity, it's going to be the Christianity of the liberation theology mode, the Jeremiah right, the goddamn America, that kind of stuff. So that's Obama's ideology. And once we begin to put on those spectacles, we can begin to understand him much better.
And yet it doesn't seem he's got Israel's back. He's got more of the Middle East back than he does Israel's back.
Absolutely. That's because if you see America as the bad guy, you're going to see Israel as our little pawn in the Middle East. So if we're the great Satan, Israel is the little Satan that's doing our bidding. So yes, I think Obama does see Israel as the bad guy. He is hostile to Israel. And so it's not that we don't have a foreign policy. Our foreign policy is undermine Israel, undermine our allies, and let our adversaries consolidate their power. And that's exactly what's happening.
Dinesh, I know you love America, and you made this movie to save America. What can we do to turn her around?
Well, on a very small scale, I mean, we build piece by piece. What we're trying to do is plant, if you will, a flag, a faith-based flag, a conservative flag in Hollywood, which is right now the fully owned monopoly, if you will, of the left. So you can really help us by taking your family, using your social media to get the word out. We've already put 1 million people in the theater to see this movie. The more that the movie gets out, the wider will it be its DVD distribution in the fall. We'll be able to show it on campuses around the country. So we have the vehicle to get the message out. You can help us by supporting it. And by reading the book, it's going to equip you with ideas and arguments to take it to the next step. This won't be solved in one shot, but the first step is see the movie, get the book.
Good. Do you see a turnover in Congress coming up in November?
I see a big change coming. There's a kind of a storm brewing. Obama's so arrogant and narcissistic that he's kind of oblivious to it. That's a good thing. Although he's normally a strong campaigner, I think he's essentially in his I'm the greatest mode, and he'll be very surprised by what happens in November.
Hillary in or out in 2016?
I think Hillary wants to be president, and I think she would be a difficult and formidable candidate. I, for one, would not underestimate her. We have her in the film. In this movie, America, Imagine a World Without Her. We don't have Hillary now. We have young Hillary. And we show, just as in 2016, we showed the formative years of Obama, how he became, if you will, the character that he is now. Similarly, we show the formative years of Hillary and how she became hooked up with a guy named Saul Alinsky, kind of a gangster type who admired the mafia, learned a lot of his political tactics from the mafia, and has very close ties to Hillary going way back to the time she was in high school.
Wow, fascinating. Well, the movie is called America, and Imagine the World Without Her, and so is the book. And you may want to check the book out at the bookstores, and in particular, if you're out at Costco, thank him for putting it back on the shelf and go to the movie. Dinesh, I know your time is tight. Thank you, my friend, and thanks for what you're doing. What's in the future? What do you feel like the Lord's leading you to do next?
Well, I will certainly do a film that comes out in the year 2016, the election year. But I also want to do a great apologetics film, a film on making the case for God and Christianity. There have been a lot of films that tell the stories of the Bible, but I don't believe there's been a great apologetics film. If C.S. Lewis had lived, he would do it. We don't have C.S. Lewis. We have us. And so that's going to be one of my dream projects down the road.
All right. Thanks for being with us, my friend.
My pleasure.
Well, there you go. If you haven't seen the movie or read the book, you may want to check it out and take a look at it. America, Imagine the World Without Her. And it's fascinating, and he's done his research. So check it out at the bookstores or perhaps online to get a copy of the movie. It's still showing in some theaters, limited, however, around the country. Well, I just again want to say thank you all for your patience and where we are with the Dove here. And we have now moved into our new facility. We've got a long ways to go before we're settled. We have some walls to build and a lot of things to do to continually get technically up to speed. And but you've been very patient, and thank you so much for working with us, and thank you so much for your support. We literally can't do this without your support, and without you, it just wouldn't happen. But we are settled, and sometime probably in the fall, October, November, somewhere in there, we will set some days aside to have an open house where you can come by and take a look. So we'll let you know when that happens. But in the meantime, continue to pray. We have a lot of work to do between now and then. And we have some major walls that have to get built, and we still have a lot more on the broadcast technical end to do as well. So pray for our team. They've been putting in some very long hours to make it all work. So thanks for your patience. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim and I work at the Dove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.